it's so easy in life just to get busy doing your routine. And I'm kind of a person of routine, by the way. Most probably wouldn't think that. But when you do those, the things that come up and the things that you learn about yourself,
yes,
and the things that God teaches you, for me, have been epic.
Wow.
Hi, I'm Caroline Howard, a biblical counselor and certified life breakthrough coach.
And I'm Chris Oneth, marriage and family therapist and executive director of Downey Counseling Associates.
Welcome to Our Next Question, where we attempt to answer the questions of life through conversations in psychology and Christianity.
Remember, this is a place of discovery and definitely not the final answer.
Here we are. We're back. We're here.
This is, I've been excited about this episode for a minute.
Okay, but before we jump into all of that, we do have a guest. We'll introduce
That's what I'm excited about.
Eventually, Dave, but for now, we're just going to call you Dave.
Dave, you don't have to be quiet. You could say things.
Okay, thank you.
So Dave,
I will talk.
Dave has said
That's Dave's voice,
about
now you know.
29 times before we started today, this is not my element. This is not my thing. And he has so many things that he is proficient at, and he's humble enough to say, wait a second, this is not my thing.
Well, let me say this. I've listened to enough of your podcasts, and y'all are pretty smart. And
wow.
I'm a pretty simple guy, so use small words with me. We'll do okay.
No one's ever told us that before.
Yeah.
I'm so kidding right now.
Yeah.
I know, it's because of me. I pretty much carry things.
You're doing great already. Just keep it coming.
Caleb or no. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Anyway, where were we?
Okay, so usually we do like a fun question to start with, but we started with this conversation, and I told you to shh until we were recording because my daughter and I were just having this conversation yesterday about this thing. So you're telling me about an app on your phone that's connected to your watch.
Yes.
That tells you
whether or not I'm a good person.
Whether like you're stressed or your sleep patterns or all of that. She was talking about the rings that you can wear. Now I won't say the labels because they're not paying us. There's a ring you can wear that does the same thing.
No way.
Does it rule the world? Is it one ring to rule the world?
Yes.
If everybody holds them up at the same time, then destruction might happen.
Ultimate power.
My gosh.
So she's taught same thing, and it like for a woman, I know all these men in the room, but you know what? For all of you women who actually listen and don't leave me alone in this room, it also tracks your menstrual cycle and if you're ovulating or not.
That's exciting.
So it does all this really great
I guess.
stuff.
Okay. Nice.
But we were talking about like the stress factor, and it'll say like, oh, you're stressed. You should listen to your body and stay. And she's talking, and my first thought was like, how much of that is going to mess with your own mind? Like how right on is that? Like you could probably say.
It's funny you're talking about this right now.
Yours was like really stressed. You said yesterday because you ate some bad chicken.
Maybe.
Okay. And so,
or
but
something.
Then now it's in your head. Oh, I was really stressed yesterday and I got to do that, where I don't feel like it gives you the resource to be like, yes, I'm stressed. How do I release? The stress is not good nor bad, but needs to be released from your body and worked through.
Fair enough.
Not a ring or an app that tells me you're stressed. Go sit down.
Yep.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, so is what I hear you saying is you want something that's not only, yes, it's going to tell you your stress levels are high, but it's also going to tell you, hey, here's some suggestions.
No, I don't need to wear a ring for something to tell me that I'm stressed.
Well, okay, so
if you become attuned to your own body and your own mind, like we all I don't want to shit people, like would be best if we all were. Then you don't need a ring or an app to tell you that. The two aren't mutually
exclusive. I think you can use an app, and so when you were saying this and talking about then people obsessing over, oh my gosh, I'm stressed.
Yeah.
Like honestly, true confession here, I've been looking at my stats for like the past 2 or 3 weeks, like every day, multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Part of the reason is because I've been riding a lot more bike, and so I've been burning calories like a maniac.
Nice.
I've been burning over 3,200 calories
but
a day.
Does knowing how many...
Did you hear that? You didn't sit with that, did you?
Oh my gosh.
3,200 calories a day, Caroline.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
Almost 4,000 on Saturday.
That's amazing.
So that's all.
Wow.
That's all? Okay.
There's always someone out there.
Dave, I'm starting to like you more and more.
Congratulations.
Hold my beer.
He would like the gold medal now. Wait, the applause. Hold on. Okay, but let me ask you this. Looking at the app to see how many calories you've burned, does that make it more legit? Does that make the calories
So it could be a psychological dopamine hit that has you go, oh, okay.
Oh, so it's a drug.
I've made whatever. I mean, we do a lot of little things to hit that dopamine. But it can also, so on the other side of that, right? Yes, it tells me my calories, burned. It also tells me stress levels. And if I can notice, there's stress levels, then I can say, okay, how do I pay attention to my body so that, I know that I'm stressed. What are some factors? One of the factors that was on me yesterday, and that was for some reason all day was high stress. I think it was because I was fighting off something. I was tired all day. Like I took a couple naps.
Nice.
I know it's what happens when
clients
cancel sometimes.
I was like, didn't you work yesterday? Were these naps during session?
Oh, it was during session. No, not.
I know how to sleep with my eyes open.
Please. Yeah. But yeah, I was just dragged down. And so there's one way to be attuned to your body. It's like, okay, when I'm excessively tired, that means higher stress levels.
Right.
So, but I think it could be used as a tool to help educate people to be attuned to the body.
So then let's use it as a tool and not so I'm going to go, sorry guys.
Is this back to what annoys Caroline?
Yes, I'm not sorry. You guys are boys. You can handle this, or you guys are grown-ups. For a woman in her menstrual cycle, if you're looking at that and they're like, oh, you're supposed to start your period yesterday, well, then she's going to get stressed. And then that's like a big factor in like not starting your period. So then you're just adding like insult to injury kind of.
Perhaps, but I think both are true. Like it can be a benefit and it can go sideways.
Every good thing become whatever that
Dave,
thing is
you
you say
have watches
that
measure your health?
I do not. Look, that's just
he's got
tells
like
me the time.
Yes.
That's
so old school.
I love it.
I am. There's the walking app on my phone, but
there you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty low tech.
What version of the phone do you have?
I don't know.
I think it's version 1.
This one,
the first phone.
He's the OG.
Yeah, I don't remember. But.
I love it.
Okay.
So that's our get to know. Do you have any thoughts on that,
I was
Caleb?
say,
I see you shaking
the whole
and
time.
stuff your head
I'm the
over
movie
there.
guy, and I was thinking of a scene from a movie because my watch will buzz and say, "Hey, you're stressed. You should relax." And I'm like, "I'm just sitting here. Like, I think I'm fine."
Wow.
But it reminds me of this scene from Spider-Man 2, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Okay.
When J. Jonah Jameson's sitting at his desk. And his assistant is like buzzing, and the whole desk shakes. And she's like, "It's time to take your medication,
for
blood pressure,
so
whatever."
funny.
And he's like trying not to get frustrated. And he's like, "Nope, not that one." Buzzes it again and keeps buzzing it. And he's like trying to maintain his composure as he's like trying to get the right heart medication. His assistant's just messing.
That
with
is
him.
awesome.
That's great. That's how I feel every time my watch buzzes and tells me to relax. So,
See, I turned all of that stuff off.
Like,
I'm like
the telling me to relax is stressing me out.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yep.
Well, then, all these things, all these devices we invite into our
But
lives.
even how accurate is it? I'll be standing
That's
up
true.
and my watch will tell me it's time to stand, and I'm like,
Don't tell me what to do.
I am standing.
Right?
I don't know what else to do
So that's
here.
Mel's big beef. Is she's like, how accurate is that? Right? She said that for so many times, and then I showed her how stressed I was yesterday, and we had a bit of maybe a little tiff this morning because she was like, "Babe, you've got to relax." And she's definitely afraid of me having a heart attack.
Well, that's nice.
And
Some
so is your
wives
watch.
pray for their husbands to have heart attacks.
Well, and so she's super supportive of me working out and going to the gym and all this other stuff.
I think I'm just a little opposed to all that technology telling me what to do.
Right.
So maybe that's what it is.
That fits, Dave.
Yeah.
That's legit. Who wants to be told what to do?
It works for me. I don't work for it. So
Yeah, totally.
There you go.
Totally.
something like that.
There you go.
Well, okay, that brings us to our
next
guest,
question?
our special guest.
Special.
All guests are special, I guess, but this guest is totally special. Dave and I have actually known each other for
A long time. 25, 30 years maybe?
Yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Probably.
Thereabouts.
We both had hair then, back then. So
Back then it was amazing.
It was a while ago.
Our muscles were bigger. Our hair was more full.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Nice.
We've had kids around the same age. They've all grown up and left us.
Yep.
Not a bad deal.
Left us behind.
And so I've always known Dave as a man of action. And so he's always been busy with something to do. And he actually has a shop where he works on things. And what are some of the projects you've actually worked on, Dave?
Oh, I'm always building. Lately I've been building furniture. Somebody gave me a dump trailer load of wood. Of the seasoned thick wood. So I've been building coffee tables. But generally speaking, I build hot rods. I build motorcycles. I build weird bikes. Anything creative is my favorite.
Yes.
And I've often said my Friday time in the shop alone, you've heard that saying, that you work out your salvation through fear and trembling. I work out mine through hammering and welding. So that's really always cool. My best time to hang around. And I'm not the kind of guy that can be still and be completely do nothing and connect well. But if I'm working on something, my brain, I don't know why, but my best time with the Lord is when I'm building something. And I love really cool. The more creative, the better.
Yeah. That is awesome.
So I've spent my life repairing things as for a living, but I so much prefer to build something creative. So if you come into my shop, you will see all kinds of oddity, all kinds of weird vehicles. So
he's absolutely right.
Yes.
Been there, witnessed it. I'm like, when guys see, and we've had this conversation before, Dave and I, when guys see his house and his shop, the reaction is, "Oh, you bought a shop with a house."
Yeah. Oh, well, that's correct though.
Just happened to
happen to have a house with it, huh?
Yeah, I happen to have a house. So.
When you first saw that house, you saw the shop, were you like jumping up and down and giggling?
I had always wanted that type of setup.
Oh, wow.
And actually, when we were getting ready to move, that's what I was looking for, and my buddy found it for me.
Oh, wow.
And it was a friend that he knew, and the house was never on the market, so I bought it from the owner directly.
Oh, my gosh.
And it's a dream for a guy like me that builds stuff. So it's 900 square foot. I technically live in the county, but it's right next door to the city, so I live right near Buyer High in an old county seat there.
Right.
But I make the joke because my neighbor's in the city and I'm in the county, so I stand between there and I go, well, I can have chickens and a goat or something.
Oh, wow.
County, I can have a
farm
animal. I don't know, but I'm kind of in the city, so it's a big shop behind my house.
That is cool. And you said 900 square feet. I assume that's the shop.
That's just the shop. Yes.
Oh, I see. Not the house.
No, it's bigger than that.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Got it.
But it's my man cave. It's my fortress of solitude. I love building stuff.
So and now again, I mentioned that I've been there, and he has a, for lack of a better term, is it a lobby area? What is that?
We never know what to call it. I call it the lounge or the shop.
A lounge.
The shop office.
It's got the old couch.
What it is, but yes,
it's got the
and it's got couch, and it has the frat boy fridge, and it has
I was wondering
TV
if there was a fridge there.
Pictures of life, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it. Yeah.
And amongst all this paraphernalia, we're talking like signs, pictures, all this other stuff, is a new edition. I don't know if it's the newest, but it's a little teeny Jolly Roger flag, which is the Pirates flag.
Love it.
And I saw that flag in there, and I thought, and immediately that I knew that was the flag he had on the Mississippi. When I some of you know this, joined Dave for 4 days on the Mississippi, and I knew that little flag, it didn't look like much up there, but it could tell some stories.
So there's a reason I had that flag, and I never really went into that with Instagram very much with anybody. It was kind of a personal thing. But I had that flag on the front of my canoe the whole time. And for two reasons. One is I needed a windsock. You know what a windsock is? I needed to see which direction the wind was going. So the practical reason was I just needed to monitor, the wind's coming from that direction. I need to adjust. But the bigger reason that I had it was, remember Pirates of the Caribbean? And at the end, the first one where he holds up the compass.
Yes.
He says, bring me that horizon.
Yeah.
That was my reminder daily to bring me that horizon.
That's awesome.
Bring me, and for me, the horizon, and this is not a political statement, but it was the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, wow.
So I'm going to say Gulf of Mexico because to me, that's what it was.
We've grown up
But
with
every
that.
day it was a reminder that I'm heading to the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, wow.
People would stop me. I mean, I was 15 feet into my journey on the Mississippi, 15 feet. And the first person asked me the question I would hear constantly, which was, how far are you going?
Oh, wow.
And every single time I would say, I'm going to the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
And so that was my reminder to that little pirate flag was my reminder. That's where I'm headed.
Wow.
So we've launched into discussion and
can we tell everybody what our next question is?
All right, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
That's probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Our next question, and this is why Dave is here, is why is adventure important, or why do we need adventure?
Boy, that's a sounds like a simple question.
Yeah, I know, right?
But for me, it's just I always want to push beyond just the normal thing. I feel like it's so easy in life just to get busy doing your routine, and I'm kind of a person of routine, by the way. Most probably wouldn't think that, but But when you do those, the things that come up and the things that you learn about yourself,
yes,
and the things that God teaches you, for me, have been epic.
Wow.
And so I never have done these adventures with the idea I'm going to find myself or that I'm going to connect with God. Those have never been a part of my adventure journey.
Okay.
God has done that in ways. I'll have to figure out how many of these stories I can tell, but in huge,
that are clean.
They're in huge ways that I did not see coming.
Yeah.
Each one of them. But when you put yourself in that situation where, so one of my things with all my buddies who ride with me motorcycles is it's not an adventure till something goes wrong.
That's right.
Oh, cool.
So
Overlanding also, yeah.
And so until stuff happens that you have to figure out, and it's the things I hate when I'm on an adventure and I love at the same time.
Yes.
You know, when you're hiking the Sierras and you come across a swollen stream and you got to figure out, you can't just turn around and go home. You have to figure out how to get through it. And
Yes.
I love that about that.
Yes.
And I love that, what I've learned about that.
So you lived the book. It's my favorite book, and one of my favorite books. And I think it's the first psychology book kids read is We're Going on a Bear Hunt. Have you ever heard that book? So
No, I
they
have
get to
not.
different things like
I've never heard of that.
We're going on a bear hunt. We're going to catch a big one. What a beautiful day. We're not scared. Oh no, a deep dark forest. We can't go over it. We can't go under it.
Oh wow, that's what
We
going on a
gotta
bear
go
hunt? Is
through
that-
it.
Yes, so that rings a bell.
Yes, and so it's all, and that's what life issues, all those things. You can't go over it. You can't go under it. You can't go. You've got to figure out how to go through it.
So
that reminds me of.
obviously adventure is I mean, even the term, right? It's something that is unexpected. There's components to it. Unexpected. There's some excitement, but there's also, I'm sure, some fear and some unknown, and that keeps people indoors a lot, right? But you've never seemed to me a guy that has taken the unknown and going, you know what? I ain't doing that.
Okay, so I knew you were going to ask me this question. You talked about, and I thought, how would I answer this question? And I know this is going to sound really weird to some people, but I've never been very fearful.
Okay.
So that idea of it scares me. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not really smart enough to be scared when I should. But the fear factor for me has never been high or hard on those.
I see.
I have ran into difficulties, and I have ran into times where I was scared to death. But those aren't the things that drive me or challenge me or keep me away from it. It's always been like, why would you not want to canoe the Mississippi River?
Duh.
In my opinion, why would you not want to do that? Why would you
alligators?
not? Well,
We learned about that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I threw it
Dave
out there.
and I learned about that.
they're big and scary, but they should fear me more than
What's
I
the
should fear them.
protocol, Dave?
Yeah,
what's the protocol?
Did you Google that really quick? What do I do if I see an alligator?
No, when I got close, there's a Facebook page called the Mississippi River Paddlers.
Yeah. Okay.
And I put that question on there. I say, what do I do when I get to the alligators? And it was resounding. It was like, they don't like you more than you don't like them. So do not be, they are afraid of you, which they see the canoe as a bigger creature than them.
Yeah.
But what you do have to be careful for, you got to be smart. They are an ambush.
One of those.
Yeah, they ambush you. They're an ambush predator.
So great.
So the idea of you got to be smart. If they see you in the day, they're not going to do anything.
Right.
But you don't want to be splashing around in the water like when it gets close to dark or if the sun's coming up, because they might bite you and figure out, oh, you're not what I want to eat.
Yeah, but the bite is still there.
But the idea is they just don't know what you are yet, and so the idea is you got to be smart about it. But in the same regard, you can't fear them because they're more afraid of you.
So that reminds me of one of the stories Dave and I experienced on the river, because again, if you haven't heard me talk about this a few times, just a short overview, Dave, before we get to this next story. What are the stats that you experienced on the Mississippi River
So when you say stats, what do you mean by stats?
Length.
Okay.
Time it took you.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah.
So,
Calories burned.
Yeah. So there's two different ways to go out the Mississippi. One is all the way to mile zero. Most paddlers don't do that anymore because once you get to Baton Rouge and beyond, all you see is riprap, which is the rock, the banks. and then the ocean-going freighters start coming in.
Oh.
And so 17-foot canoe is a big canoe, by the way.
All right.
It is a teeny boat. So it just, the current gets strong, and to go to mile zero, you end up about 18 miles out in the Gulf.
Oh, wow.
And then you have to overcome a 45-mile-an-hour current to get back in to land. So most don't go. They go out through the Atchafalaya, which, still don't know how to say that right, by the way. It's a weird word. But
they say it Atchafalaya.
Yeah, it depends
they
on
say it Atchafalaya. They leave out words and sounds.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Do. So it's about, the way I went through the river, out that way, is about little under 2,200 miles.
So you went 2,200 miles.
Well, not quite, but 21 something in a canoe.
Yes, you did.
It starts in Lake Itasca, Minnesota, is where the headwater starts, and it's a trickle. You literally got to drag your canoe out of the lake and over some rocks to get in, and then you end up walking the canoe in the river because it's only 7-8 inches deep. It's not very deep.
Wow.
And so it takes usually about 90 to 120 days, they say, to leave. About 3 months is the given thing.
That's crazy.
And the river changes drastically. That's 4 different rivers, really.
Wow.
The first part is Minnesota is the land of 10,000 lakes. And when you start, it's very shallow, and you have to go over rocks. You have to go over fallen trees. And then there's 13, I think, portages where you have to pull the canoe out and go around dams.
So a portage is where you have to take your gear and everything else over land.
Everything over land to the other side of the dam.
Keep in mind, it's a 17-foot canoe.
Yeah.
Like you and I, 2 men couldn't necessarily just pick it up and walk it around.
No, I built a dolly for it so that I could put it on the dolly, but the terrain doesn't always allow for that. Sometimes you got to drag it up the side of the dam before you can get to the point you can put it on the dolly. And they're anywhere from 200 yards to 1.5 miles long.
Wow.
That you've got to pull it around. And so the first part of the river until you get to Minneapolis is this very rural. Going across lakes is the worst, by the way.
Wow.
It sounds great, but it's like they're big. They're big, and you paddle forever before you see the other side, and they get windy. They get really windy. And then the next section is the lock and dam section. So there's locks, which are water elevators.
Yes.
Where they they control the river with these locks. And the dams get wide and they get windy at the end. So you go through, and you had a marine radio, so I felt like a big shot.
Right on. So a lock is you go into this little area, and it's like a pool with doors on either side of it.
Either side.
And the doors close, and it either fills up or it drains.
Going downstream, it always drains, always lowers you to the level.
So it matches the level that you're about to go into.
Okay. Yeah, most of them are 8 to 10 foot, 12-foot drop.
Yeah, okay.
Except for 19. They call it the big one. 38-foot drop.
Wow.
And it's 1 million cubic gallons of water per foot. So when they lower you, it's 38 million gallons of water to drop you down.
It's
amazing.
Do you drop fast? Do you
No, not super fast.
More you
can feel
land
it.
Of the lost or going off the.
So that area is constant traffic, and you're going through these locks, and which are really novel the first 2 or 3 times. After that, I'm like, another lock. Goodness. And there's barges at that point that are there's the river traffic is amazing. So the barges each barge is 195 feet long, and then they have a tugboat that pushes it, and they're stacked length by length.
Yes.
And most of them are 6 to 7 barge, 195 each long. Times 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 wide.
Yes.
So the biggest ones I saw were 8 barges long times 4 or 5 wide.
Right.
Wow.
So that's 1,500 feet. So you're sharing the river with these barges that are 1,500 feet.
Well, and keep in mind the river's wide, right? I remember when I was with you, the few barges we saw, I mean, they're just moving at their own thing, and there's a channel in which they go in between, and we can go off to the side, but it's not like... It's a lot of river on the side. You're not squeezing off to the side and going, hey,
well,
don't pick
in
on
certain
me.
spots. But I will say you saw it at its widest point.
Okay. Fair enough.
I will say there were times I'm like, goodness, okay.
So you watch for them. They're not watching for you.
No, they don't
give
a rip
care
about
less.
you.
Yeah.
But,
hey, buddy.
They're king of the river, and that's the way it is. So then when you get to the Ohio River, the confluence, then at that point, it's wide open river. And actually, when you get past what's called, just past St. Louis, it's called a chain of rocks.
Oh, wow.
And it's just kind of a rocks that are, over it. And from there on, it's just wide open river. And then fourth river kind of is when you get to the Chapalaya.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's
so
it.
So 2,200 miles, how many days?
Took me 70.
70 days.
Yes.
And it takes normal people. I'm not saying you're not normal, but it takes average person.
Yeah.
90, you said?
About 90.
Wow.
Yeah.
When I got done off the river, there was a river angel that posted a graph of all the paddlers. It was weird. I looked at it. I'm like, there's my name. And when they started, when they finished, what boat they were using.
Wow.
Interesting.
And I asked the river angels how many people do this a year. Because if you go on Pacific Crest Trail, there's, 5,000-6,000 people that do it a year.
Wow.
There's that many.
Oh, wow.
The Appalachian Trail is even more. But they said, about 50 or 60 try to do the whole length of the Mississippi, and about 20, 25 make it.
Wow.
So I know that I looked at, my name was on there. There were 49 people that started it, and 22 finished. So
hey.
Oh, my goodness.
So 2 guys did it in 67 days. 1 guy did it in 68. I did it in 70.
Dang.
And the next guy closest to me was 80, and all the rest were 92.
Wow.
So
okay, so
there
the kind of, yes, there's these components of adventure where it's uncertainty and excitement and all those, up and down things. But there's also, as you tell me this, there's a huge physical component to it. Like putting your body and yourself out there and putting forth effort. And I mean, that had to be tough. I mean, at times, the mind, I'm sure, and the body saying, I've had enough of this. I want to quit. I mean, you lost. How much weight did you lose?
So I lost 19 pounds.
Okay. Now, percentage of body weight, because that would be the bigger tell.
I weigh 175 now, so I was 185 or 185.
Okay.
So I was 19. I lost 19. I put back 9 back on.
Okay.
Kept 10 off just because it worked so hard. I might as well keep it off.
That's right. That's right.
But when I did Pacific Crest Trail in 2 months, I lost 35 pounds.
Whoa. Well,
and it just ate your body. You can't keep the calorie drain.
Right.
So yes, it's physical. I would paddle 9 to 12 hours a day was my general.
And so when I was with you, we were burning I was burning 5,000 calories a day, which kills my weekend total, by the way. Yeah, it was 5,000.
I didn't have a fancy watch, so I have no idea how many calories.
I had the fancy watch telling me 5,000, about 5,000 a day, and it was constant for 9 hours a day for me when I was with you, paddling. We took a half-hour lunch. We took 5-minute breaks on the hour, and it was one of those situations. Look, I even mentioned this in a little video I made. I hadn't had a supervisor in years, and Dave was my supervisor. And so you're paddling, and saying, when is this going to happen? And then he was like, all right, break time. And you're like, oh, God, thank God. But that physical component is another means of like pushing.
Yes. So to make the story even crazier is, didn't know if I should mention this or not, but that was in 24. So I had both my shoulders replaced in 23.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So I am the titanium man. I have 2 titanium shoulders because I used to work out really heavy and I got to a point where I apparently wore my shoulders out. Oh. So 23, I replaced both shoulders, which were tough surgeries. They were 3 months apart, and I worked. I told them this is what I was going to do. Will I be ready? And the physical therapy guys were so excited. They were so, we're going to make you ready. You sure you're going to be ready? But I worked so hard all year so that when I hit the river, I knew I was in good shape.
Wow.
And I was.
Any times in the river where you're like, oh man, this is like, I'm not going anywhere, or this is daunting. You mentioned like the first day 6 miles, or just different times when you were like, because there's a spiritual component to that, to being like, I am so ready to be done.
Yeah, some days I was ready to be done pretty early, but I just knew I had to keep going. That's kind of my strength. That's why we do the 5-minute break at the top of the hour. Because otherwise, for me, I will just go and wear myself out. And so it was a way for me to stop and eat. Okay. Food is just fuel at that point.
Yes.
And make sure I have water in me, stay hydrated.
Yes.
And I would usually look at my map to see where I was at and kind of keep track of stuff. So, there were a lot of days where it was a grind, and the wind was the worst. The wind would, So one of the things I did learn about myself through this is I learned how quickly I am discouraged.
Wow.
And I learned how quickly I am encouraged. I did.
That's good.
But I recognized that about a month in. I thought, man, a little thing comes up I didn't expect. That's good, and I'm so happy. One of the big portages was with my son Paul. We got to the edge, and there was a guy in a black pickup up on the bank, and he came down and met me, and he said, "Hey, I'm Robbie. I'm here to help you portage." I'm like, "What?" And it was one of the big portages. It was almost a mile portage.
Whoa.
And he said, yeah, my wife was looking out the kitchen window and she saw you coming across the lake.
Oh, my
And I was trying to
word.
get in touch with you, so I'm here to help you portage.
Oh, my
I've got a
gosh.
pickup. He said, I'll help you. We'll dolly it if you want to, but I got a truck if you want. I'm like, put it in a truck. I don't know. And
right.
the portage that was going to take us 2 hours took us 15 minutes.
Oh,
I was
my
so encouraged.
gosh.
No doubt.
And God would do that. He would just bring
Yeah.
people or things along I didn't expect, and I would be so encouraged. But then I would forget the way the Israelites were.
I was just going to say, you sound like an Israelite.
I get it. Yeah, manna, this is wonderful. It just falls out of the sky.
Yeah.
2 days later, oh, manna, how many times can that's,
right.
That's how I felt at times. But I recognized at one point that, man, I sure get discouraged fast, huh? What's my problem?
Wow.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
I mean, believe it or not, psychologically, the two can be very closely related. Our propensity, because I think I'm the same way. Where I just don't, I don't consider, there's going to be 5,000 problems. That's a benefit and it's a drawback. I don't see every problem that's going to happen. And so sometimes when I run into them, it's not a big deal. I get through it. But then if you run into one that you're like, oh no, what do I do now? Then, oh guy. But at the same time, a moment, and that's something I have to remind myself, a moment can change everything. And then you're like, I am back on top and this feels amazing. And like, I guess in these times of challenge, being able to keep your eyes open to, okay, I don't want to be blind to God around me, right? Like your buddy with the pickup. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? Now it's hard to be blind to that, but maybe it's as simple as we had talked about at the end of the day, after a day of paddling. After all that effort all day, it was just such a beautiful thing to sit in our chairs and be along the river and be like, wow, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Awesome.
So how much, because so you've listened to the podcast, I'm not the adventurer or the outdoorsy one in the group.
Really?
Really? I know. You would never tell by looking at me,
okay.
right?
That's okay.
So I'm going to ask the questions because not everybody listening is like y'all. They're more like me, normal.
Wow. I like you used y'all, so I appreciate that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Simple words for Dave. Thank you.
She's from Modesto.
I really want to be from somewhere else.
Born and raised.
Thanks for outing me. No. All the, you knew the name of all the rivers and all these different, how much studying of this whole trip did you do beforehand?
Okay. So I've been on a number of these now, and usually when I get, so I'm not very, I don't just jump at a whim. So,
right.
Believe it or not, I'm very studied. Like I will study the river. I watched a series of videos, this couple that did it the year before, and they chronicled every day. I went through their entire series twice.
Wow.
And I made notes. So, and I spent time studying what equipment do I need. I picked the boat I did because of that study.
Aha.
So
not just leaping into the unknown, it's being able to say, hey, here's how I best prepare myself, knowing who I am.
So I trained physically. I wanted to be in the best shape I could. I've worked out my whole life, so that's not really a big change for me. But this is the part that might surprise you or cause some grief for some. Say, how would you do that? But the total amount of canoe experience I had when I started the river was 10 miles.
Oh my God.
Nice.
I paddled from Foxgrove down to Modesto with a buddy of mine.
Nice.
And he'd been canoed like a lot of his life. So he kind of showed me, here's how you steer, here's how you whatever. And so
wow.
I kind of started on the river with really not much experience, but it's a canoe. It's just, you're paddling.
It's a canoe.
Something you can figure out. And I figured, experience is that thing you get right after you need it, right? I mean, I figured I'll figure it out, and I got 2,200 miles, and I did. So, yeah.
So you started a novice, you started a
novice,
amateur,
yes,
and ended a professional.
Yes.
Okay.
Or an expert. He's not getting paid for it. So
Yeah.
Okay, an expert.
No, really, I loved that about that type of thing, because in the beginning, my willpower and my gutsiness would override my knowledge.
Yes.
But at the end, I felt like, if you've seen Castaway, remember that movie Castaway, Tom Hanks, and first he's all out of shape and he's trying to, things are falling, he's scared, and then it cuts to him standing in the water with the spear, all quiet, and he's all lean. That's what I felt like at the end.
Right,
I felt like
So cool.
I can read the river. There's a lot to do too, because the river is not just paddling. There are zones that it goes faster. There's zones that I used to call them the sucker hole. Don't get in the. It looks like it's the fast way. It's not. It's the sucker hole. It's going to slow down. It's going to. So I got to. Here's what the barge is going to do. Okay, hold on. He's got 6 of them, and I'm listening, and I can hear his motors. The way the cadence in the motor, I go, he's loaded. Okay, I see. So I got to where I could tell what was going on and what I needed to do. So at the end, I felt like an absolute expert because I just learned along the way.
Yes. Yeah. Now that's another fascinating aspect to me. Adventure, I think, brings us. It brings us potentially to a place that's not artificial. I think in our world, we surround ourselves with the artificial, the distractions, the comfort, and everything else. And adventure seems to me, at least how I tie it in, brings you out into creation. And the more you are out there, the more attuned you become to the environment around you, right? And so instead of being cut off with distractions, now you are hearing a barge and knowing, oh, this is what it's going to do. And that doesn't come without action and experience. So I think that's another component to adventure is action.
No, but adventure can look more than just going out in the wilderness.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think adventure to me is anything that's a little scary for you, anything that's a little a stretch.
Yes.
And so what's adventure for you, Caroline?
Well, I'm thinking Black Friday shopping. That can be adventurous sometimes. You just never know.
That would scare the heck out of me.
Right?
Honestly. You want to hear the most comfortable I was on the entire river?
Huh.
I was in Memphis, and I had to resupply, and there were no Walmarts or anything close to Mud Island, and I had to get an Uber. I've never Ubered.
I've never Ubered either.
And honestly, it was the most scared I was the whole time because I ended up, it ate my phone battery so fast. And I ended up 10 miles away from my hotel with a cart full of food that I had to get back, and my battery was getting down. I was watching the Uber driver come from a ways away, and I was watching my battery deplete. And I said, what do I do if I run out of battery and I'm stuck 10, 11? I can't walk to where I'm at this point.
Wow.
It was the most nervous I was the whole trip.
Isn't that something?
Wow.
So what makes me nervous might not make you nervous.
Right.
And I think that's okay, but I think anytime you stretch yourself, whatever that might be.
That's awesome.
I was going to say, for me, I took what I call kind of my first micro-adventure in like August of 2024, I think. And then since then I've taken 4. And for me what that looks like is I'm someone who's very comfortable, likes to stay at home. So it's been like going to somewhere in California that I've never been before. And I like to rent a little like Airbnb, usually some cool architecture, because that's kind of my thing, a tiny house or something fun, and just like go around and explore that area. That both in like the city and like hiking around, and I like to take my camera with me because that's kind of my hobby. But that's awesome. A huge stretch for me, even though like I haven't left the state, or even like they've all been within like 4 hours or so of here. But that's grown me in huge ways, just taking those little steps, not like paddling 2,200 miles down the Mississippi, but just getting beyond my comfort zone. Taking a trip somewhere I've never been and having to kind of figure things out.
Yeah, so is that how we can define adventure, right? Is getting out of your comfort zone.
Before we do that, though, I want to stop here and bring you on for our next episode, part 2, because I think we've had a good run. It's been right now, it's been about 45 minutes we've had this conversation. And Yeah.
I still have a whole list of questions going here.
Absolutely. So come on back for part 2 of why do we need adventure?
I'll check my schedule.
Thanks for joining us today as we continue our journey talking about life's many questions.
To stay connected with us, you can follow us at Downey Park Counseling on both Facebook and Instagram. You can also follow Caroline on Instagram at Relatable Caroline. And make sure you tune in next week for our next question.